Second Officer Amy Grant hated night shifts, but tonight the boredom vanished when her console started flashing red. An old distress beacon, the kind nobody used anymore, was broadcasting from a dead system marked with warning symbols on every star chart. She pulled up the signal details and frowned. The quarantine zone ahead had been sealed for nearly 40 years. Nobody went there. Nobody was supposed to be there. "Captain Reeves, you need to see this." The captain arrived within minutes, still pulling on his uniform jacket. His gray hair stuck up at odd angles. He studied the screen for a long moment before speaking. "That's a research vessel beacon, sanctuary class." "In a forbidden zone," Amy added. Reeves touched the intercom. "All crew to the bridge now." The distant shore was a cargo hauler, nothing fancy. They carried machine parts and food supplies between colony worlds. The crew of 16 knew each other well enough to read faces. When they saw Reeves looking grim, they knew something serious was happening. "We've got a distress call," Reeves said. "It's in a quarantine zone. By law, we should report it and keep moving. By conscience, we should help. I'm putting it to a vote." Nobody hesitated. 16 hands went up. "No one gets left behind," said Dr. Olson from the medical bay door. The ship changed course. As they approached the dead system, the sensors showed debris everywhere. Pieces of ships floated in the darkness, some still burning with frozen fires. This had been a battle and not a small one. "There," Amy pointed at her screen, "behind that broken moon." A small vessel emerged slowly, like a scared animal leaving its hiding place. It was damaged badly. Scorch marks covered the hull, and one entire section looked ready to fall off. Reeves opened communication channels. "This is the cargo vessel Distant Shore. We received your distress call. Do you need assistance?" The reply came in heavily accented standard. "Oh, thank the stars. Yes, please, we need help desperately. We are unarmed researchers. Raiders attacked us 3 weeks ago. They killed our escorts and we have been hiding since then. We're coming alongside. Prepare to receive docking clamps." As the two ships connected, Amy got her first look at the survivors through the airlock cameras. They were Palani, a species she recognized from trade ports. Tall and thin, with fur that changed colors based on their emotions. Right now, all 12 of them showed fear white. The leader introduced himself as Teacher Bryn. He was old, his fur graying around the edges. His hands shook as he spoke. "We cannot thank you enough. We thought we would die here." Dr. Olson began checking them for injuries while Reeves asked questions. "What were you researching that got you attacked?" Teacher Bryn's fur rippled with nervousness. "We were studying pre-spaceflight civilizations. We found something that powerful people do not want known." "What did you find?" "A world, a Class 12 death world, the kind where nothing intelligent should be able to evolve. But there is a civilization there. People who built cities and technology while fighting predators and diseases that should have killed them all. It proves the Galactic Council has been lying about how intelligence develops." Amy felt her blood go cold. Earth was a Class 12 death world. The Council had always said humans were an impossible accident, something that should never have happened. "These raiders," she said carefully, "they want to destroy your evidence. They want to destroy us and everything we learned. The data proves that harsh worlds can create intelligent life. If that truth spreads, everything the Council teaches about civilization will be questioned." Reeves looked at Amy. She saw the same thought in his eyes. This wasn't just about saving researchers anymore. "How long until your ship can move?" Reeves asked. "Weeks, maybe months. We have no engines." "Then we tow you. Amy, get the cables ready." While the crew worked, one of the young Palani researchers, Student Wen, approached Amy at her station. "You are from Earth, yes? I read that Earth is also Class 12. "That's right. How did your people survive? The gravity alone should have crushed your evolution. The predators, the diseases, the weather extremes. Amy smiled without humor. We got tough or we died, simple as that. But you seem so kind, so willing to help strangers. Being tough doesn't mean being cruel. It means protecting what matters. The cables were almost connected when the long-range sensors started screaming. 6 ships were entering the system at high speed. "They're back," Teacher Bryn whispered. His fur went pure white with terror. Reeves studied the approaching vessels. Torvan corsairs, heavily armed. They were known for taking contracts from anyone who paid enough. All crew battle stations. Amy charged the defense grid. "We're a cargo ship," one of the younger crew members said. "We can't fight that." "We're an Earth cargo ship," Reeves corrected. "There's a difference. Dr. Olson, get the Palani to the reinforced sections. Everyone else, you know your jobs." The Palani stared in confusion as the human crew moved with sudden purpose. Panels opened revealing weapon systems. The gentle people who had offered them food and medical care were transforming the ship into something else entirely. Reeves opened a channel to the approaching raiders. "This is the Earth vessel Distant Shore. We are providing sanctuary to persecuted refugees. Any hostile action will be met with extreme prejudice. This is your only warning." The reply came full of laughter. "A cargo hauler threatens us. Surrender the Palani and their data or be destroyed." Reeves closed the channel and looked at his crew. "These people came to us for help. That makes them ours to protect. Questions?" There were none. The raider ships kept coming, weapons charging. Amy's hands moved across her console with practiced ease. She had done this before, in another life. The Palani watched in growing amazement as the humans prepared to fight impossible odds without hesitation or fear. The first missile came screaming toward them faster than Student Wen thought possible. She closed her eyes, waiting for death. Then the Distant Shore's point defense systems opened fire, and the missile exploded harmlessly 3 kilometers away. "Shields holding at 90%, Amy reported, her voice calm like she was reading a grocery list. Teacher Bryn grabbed the nearest handhold as the ship rolled hard to port. Through the viewscreen, he watched 2 more missiles sail past, missing by meters. How were the humans moving this cargo ship like a fighter craft? "Return fire," Reeves ordered, "mining lasers full power." "Mining lasers," one of the Palani whispered, "against military shields." The answer came in brilliant blue beams that sliced through the lead raiders' shields like they were paper. The Torvan ship's entire port side exploded outward, venting atmosphere and debris. "One down," Amy said, 5 remaining. The second Torvan ship tried evasive maneuvers, but the Distant Shore tracked it perfectly. Another beam, another explosion. This time the Raiders' reactor went critical, and the whole vessel turned into an expanding ball of fire. 2 down. Student Wen stared at Dr. Olson, who was calmly securing medical supplies while monitoring the battle on a side screen. "How are you so peaceful while people are dying?" "We didn't start this fight," Olson replied. "We gave them a warning. They chose not to listen. That's on them, not us." The remaining 4 Torvan ships retreated, pulling back to a safer distance. The lead Raiders' captain appeared on the viewscreen, his reptilian face twisted in anger. "You destroyed 2 of my ships. Do you know who we work for?" "Don't care," Reeves said flatly. "Leave now or join your friends in the debris field." "You're protecting criminals. Those Palani stole classified information." Teacher Bryn stepped forward, his fur turning angry red. "We stole nothing. We discovered truth that your employers want hidden." The Torvan captain's eyes narrowed. "It doesn't matter. We have 4 ships. You have 1 damaged cargo hauler and a crippled research vessel. You cannot win." "Want to bet?" Amy asked and fired again. This time the Torvan were ready. Their shields absorbed most of the blast, though 1 ship still took serious damage. They scattered, coming at the distant shore from multiple angles. "They're trying to overwhelm our defenses," Amy said. "Then we don't play defense." Reeves pushed the engines to maximum. The cargo ship accelerated directly toward the Torvin formation. The Palani screamed, the humans smiled. At the last second, Reeves spun the ship 90 degrees and fired all weapons at once. The concentrated barrage caught 2 Torvin vessels that were too close together. One lost its engines. The other started leaking fuel. 3 combat-effective enemies remaining, Amy updated. Student Wen noticed something strange. The humans weren't celebrating or showing excitement. They moved with cold efficiency like machines. No, not machines. Like predators who had done this many times before. "You were soldiers," she said to Amy. "Before you carried cargo, you fought in a war." "Colonial Defense Force," Amy confirmed while reloading weapons. 8 years. I was really good at it, which is why I stopped. You can only kill so many people before you forget why you started. But you are killing again now. To protect you, that's different, that has a reason. One of the remaining Torvin ships tried a desperate move, launching a spread of 6 missiles simultaneously. The distant shore's point defense got 4 of them. The 5th detonated close enough to rock the ship. The 6th hit the shield's dead center. Alarms blared. "Shields down to 40%, Amy reported. Dr. Olson moved quickly through the ship, checking on everyone. 2 human crew members had minor injuries from being thrown against bulkheads. The Palani were terrified but unhurt. Olson treated the humans first, then came back to check the Palani again. "Why did you help your crew before us?" Teacher Bryn asked. "Because they can still fight," Olson explained. "You can't. In combat, you prioritize those who can protect everyone else. It seems harsh, but it keeps more people alive in the end. Your species thinks about survival very differently than ours. Our species had to learn or die. We learned." The Torvin ships regrouped for another attack, but this time they were hesitant. They had started with 6 ships against a cargo hauler. Now they had 3 damaged vessels facing an opponent who had killed their friends without taking a scratch until that last lucky hit. The lead Torvin captain's face reappeared. "We're calling for reinforcements. A full battle group, 12 ships. They'll be here in 18 hours. "Then you have 18 hours to run," Reeves replied. "You can't fight a battle group. Watch us." The channel closed. The 3 remaining Torvin ships withdrew to the edge of the system, maintaining distance but not leaving. They were waiting for their reinforcements. Reeves turned to his crew. "We need to buy time. Amy, send a coded burst toward Earth territory. Emergency military frequency." "Sir, the nearest Earth station is 6 days away, at maximum FTL speed." "I know, send it anyway." Teacher Bryn approached the captain carefully. "You cannot fight 12 military ships with a cargo vessel. You must run, save yourselves. We understand." "Not happening," Reeves said. "We have 18 hours to prepare. Amy, start modifying our missiles. Dr. Olson, teach the Palani basic damage control. If we're going to fight a battle group, everyone needs to help." Student Wen found herself standing next to Amy at a weapons console, learning how to identify targeting solutions. Teacher Bryn worked with the engineering crew, using his scientific knowledge to help optimize the shields. The other Palani took positions throughout the ship, ready to seal breaches and fight fires. One of the younger Palani asked Dr. Olson a question that had been bothering them all. "Why are you doing this? You could leave us and escape. Why fight and possibly die for strangers?" Olson looked up from her medical supplies. "Because on Earth we have a saying, no one gets left behind. Once we decide you're worth protecting, there's no distance too far and no odds too bad. That's what makes us human." The Palani didn't fully understand, but as they worked alongside the humans, preparing for an impossible battle, they began to see something their peaceful civilization had never developed. The humans weren't just willing to fight. They were willing to die protecting others. That thought terrified and inspired Student Wen in equal measure. 16 hours had passed and Student Wen understood something new about humans. They didn't just prepare for battle, they prepared for survival. The cargo bay had been converted into a medical station with redundant life support. The Palani research vessel was now packed with emergency supplies and encrypted copies of all their data. If the distant shore fell, the researchers could still escape. "You are planning for your own deaths," Teacher Bryn said quietly to Captain Reeves. "We're planning for every possibility," Reeves corrected, "including the ones where we lose." Amy showed Student Wen how the modified missiles worked. "We took apart our mining charges and rebuilt them. Each one now has 3 separate detonation stages. The first breaks shields, the second damages hull, the third targets specific systems. You invented new weapons in 16 hours. We adapted existing tools. That's what humans do best. We work with what we have." The Palani watched as the crew ran combat drills with frightening efficiency. Everyone knew their role. Everyone moved without wasting a second. It was like watching a single organism with many parts. Dr. Olson pulled Teacher Bryn aside. "I need to show you something." She led him to the medical bay and pointed at a locked cabinet. "If things go bad, if we're boarded, this contains sedatives for your people. You won't feel anything. You are offering us a peaceful death. I'm offering you a choice. Some people want to fight to the last breath. Others prefer not to suffer. Neither choice is wrong. I just want you to know the option exists." Teacher Bryn's fur rippled through several colors before settling on a sad blue. "Your species has thought deeply about death. We've had a lot of practice." The 18-hour mark arrived. The sensors lit up with 12 new contacts entering the system. The Torvin battle group had arrived exactly on schedule. The lead vessel was massive, 3 times the size of the distant shore. It was accompanied by 8 heavy cruisers and 3 destroyers. All of them bristled with weapons. "That's a lot of firepower," Amy observed. "Yep," Reeves agreed. A new face appeared on the view screen. This Torvin wore military decorations and looked far more professional than the corsairs they had fought before. "I am Commander Drath of the Torvin Enforcement Fleet. You are harboring criminals and stolen property. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." "The Palani are refugees, not criminals," Reeves replied. "And knowledge cannot be stolen when it was discovered fairly. The Galactic Council has declared their research illegal. You have no authority to oppose this. The Council doesn't control Earth. We're not part of your political games." Drath's expression hardened. "You are one cargo ship. We are a battle group. This is not a negotiation. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Reeves smiled, and it was not a friendly smile. "No." "Then you choose death." "We choose to protect people who need protecting. What you do next is your choice, not ours." The channel closed. The Torvin battle group began advancing in a standard military formation, weapons charging. "All crew, this is it," Reeves announced on the intercom. "Remember your training, trust each other, and let's show them why Earth doesn't back down." The Palani braced themselves, but the humans looked almost calm. Student Wen realized they weren't calm at all. They were focused. Completely, totally focused. The first salvo came from 3 cruisers simultaneously. Dozens of missiles and energy beams converged on the distant shore. The point defense systems went into overdrive, destroying missiles and deflecting what they could. The shields absorbed the rest, but the power drain was enormous. "Shields at 60%, Amy reported. "Return fire, target the destroyer on the left flank, full missile spread." The modified missiles launched, and the Torvin were unprepared for their effectiveness. The first destroyer's shields collapsed under the triple-stage detonations. The second wave of missiles tore into its hull. The third wave found the reactor. The destroyer exploded magnificently. 11 remaining, Amy counted. But the Torvin weren't stupid. They adjusted their formation, spreading out to prevent concentrated fire. The battle became a deadly dance. The distant shore would strike, then move, using the debris field for cover. The Torvin would pursue, trying to corner their prey. Shields at 30%. Hull breach on Deck 3. Fire suppression systems offline in Section 7. The damage reports kept coming, but the crew kept fighting. Student Wen found herself manning a damage control station, sealing breaches under Dr. Olson's direction. Teacher Bryn used his scientific knowledge to predict Torvin movement patterns, feeding tactical data to Amy. They were working together, humans and Palani, predators and prey, fighting as one crew. Then everything changed. The sensors detected new contacts, 3 ships dropping out of FTL at the system's edge. Identify those vessels, Commander Drath demanded of his sensor officer. The reply came with obvious fear. Sir, they're Earth military, destroyer class and 1 carrier. Student Wen didn't understand. How? You said they were 6 days away. Amy grinned fiercely. At normal FTL speeds, yeah. But when humans get a distress call from other humans, we don't use normal speeds. The lead Earth vessel opened communications. The officer on screen wore a uniform that looked designed for function over appearance. Her expression was cold steel. This is Commander Wilson of the EDF Relentless. Stand down immediately or be destroyed. Commander Drath tried to maintain authority. This is a Torvin military operation. You have no jurisdiction here. You fired on humans providing humanitarian aid. That gives us all the jurisdiction we need. You have 30 seconds to power down weapons. We outnumber you nearly 4-1. Wilson's expression didn't change. 20 seconds. One of the Torvin cruisers fired a missile at the approaching Earthships. It was a mistake. The EDF Relentless didn't bother with point defense. It simply moved, faster than anything that size should be able to move, and the missile sailed harmlessly past. Then it returned fire. The Torvin cruiser that had fired was hit by what looked like a solid projectile moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The impact turned the entire ship into an expanding cloud of debris. 10 seconds, Wilson said calmly. The Torvin battle group powered down their weapons. Teacher Bryn stared at the viewscreen in shock. The Earthships hadn't even tried. 1 shot, 1 kill, and they made it look easy. How, he whispered. We told you, Reeves said quietly. No one gets left behind. When you're part of our pack, we come for you, no matter the distance, no matter the odds. Student Wen watched as Earth Marines began boarding the Torvin vessels to take them into custody. The humans moved through corridors like hunting cats, perfect and terrifying. She finally understood what it meant to evolve on a death world. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about becoming something that could thrive in hell itself. And once something learned to thrive in hell, the rest of the galaxy became very easy by comparison. The medical bay of the EDF Relentless was bigger than the entire Palani research vessel. Student Wen sat on a diagnostic bed while a human medic checked her for injuries. All around her, the other Palani were receiving similar care. You're healthy, the medic said cheerfully. Just undernourished. We'll get some proper food in you. Teacher Bryn approached Commander Wilson, who was reviewing combat footage on a data pad. Thank you for saving us. We owe you our lives. Wilson looked up and her stern expression softened slightly. You don't owe us anything. You're researchers who discovered an inconvenient truth. That makes you worth protecting. But you traveled 6 days of distance in less than 20 hours. You pushed your ships to dangerous limits for strangers. You stopped being strangers the moment the distant shore answered your distress call. Captain Reeves made you part of his crew. That makes you part of ours. Student Wen watched the exchange with fascination. The humans kept talking about pack and crew like these words meant something deeper than their simple definitions. Amy Grant from the distant shore was also on the Relentless, helping transfer data. She found Student Wen in the medical bay and sat down beside her. "How are you holding up?" "I am confused," Student Wen admitted. "Your species fights with such terrible efficiency, but then shows such kindness. How do both exist in the same people?" Amy thought for a moment. On Earth, the most dangerous predators are often the best parents. Lions, wolves, bears. They'll kill to eat, but they'll also die protecting their young. Humans are the same. We're gentle with those we care about and ruthless with those who threaten them. Your world made you this way. Our world taught us that survival means two things: being strong enough to fight and being smart enough to know when to fight. We don't fight because we enjoy it. We fight because we're really good at protecting what matters. Dr. Olson arrived with food trays for the Palani. Real food, not the ration paste they had been surviving on. Teacher Bryn took a bite and his fur rippled with pleasure. "This is wonderful. What is it?" "Vegetable soup with fresh bread. Simple stuff, Earth food." "It tastes like hope," Teacher Bryn said quietly. While the Palani ate, Commander Wilson called a meeting. Captain Reeves, Amy, Dr. Olson, and the Palani researchers gathered in the briefing room. "We've interrogated the Torvan prisoners," Wilson began. "They were hired by someone in the Galactic Council to destroy your research and kill all witnesses. They won't say who, but the money trail leads to high-level officials." Teacher Bryn's fur turned dark with anger. They would rather commit murder than admit the truth about Deathworld civilizations. "What exactly did you discover?" Wilson asked. Teacher Bryn activated a holographic display. It showed a planet covered in purple vegetation with 3 moons. "This is the world we were studying. Class 12 Death World. Gravity 1.4 times galactic standard. Atmospheric pressure that would crush most species. Predator density off the charts. Disease load that should make complex life impossible." "Sounds like Earth," Reeves muttered. "Exactly, and yet intelligent life evolved there. A civilization. They built cities while fighting animals that could tear through metal. They developed technology while dealing with plagues that killed millions. They reached space on their own, without council help." Student Wen added excitedly, "And their development pattern matches Earth's history almost perfectly. War, competition, cooperation born from necessity. They became sapient because their world was harsh, not despite it." Wilson leaned forward. "What does this mean for council policy?" "Everything," Teacher Bryn said. "The council teaches that civilization requires gentle worlds, that harsh environments prevent intelligence from developing. They use this to justify controlling or uplifting species from difficult worlds. But our research proves that theory wrong. Death worlds don't prevent intelligence. They forge it." "And if that truth spreads," Amy said slowly, "every species the Council has deemed too primitive or too dangerous gets reconsidered." "Precisely. It threatens the entire power structure." Wilson sat back and smiled grimly. "Good. Power structures built on lies deserve to be threatened." The meeting continued for hours, planning what to do next. The Palani wanted to publish their research. The humans wanted to protect them while they did, but both groups knew the Galactic Council wouldn't give up easily. Later that night, Student Wen couldn't sleep. She wandered the corridors of the Relentless and found herself in an observation deck. Earth Marines were there, maintaining weapons and equipment. One of them noticed her and waved her over. "Can't sleep." "Too much to think about." "Yeah, I get that. First combat experience." "Yes, is it always so terrifying?" The Marine laughed. "Every single time. Anyone who says they're not scared in a fight is either lying or broken. Fear is natural. What matters is what you do with it." "You all seemed so calm during the battle." "That's training. We feel the fear, acknowledge it, and then do our jobs anyway. Fear keeps you alive if you use it right. Student Wen thought about that. On my world, we have no predators, no wars. We solved problems through discussion and compromise for thousands of years. Sounds peaceful. It was, but it also made us weak. When the raiders came, we could do nothing but hide and hope. You humans faced the same threat and fought back without hesitation. The Marine cleaned her rifle carefully before responding. There's nothing wrong with being peaceful. The problem is when peaceful people have no ability to defend themselves. Then they become victims. The ideal is being capable of violence but choosing peace. Is that what Earth teaches? It's what Earth learned. We had so many wars, so much bloodshed. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. But each time, we pulled back from the edge and learned something. Now we use that knowledge to protect others instead of hurting them. Dr. Olson appeared at the observation deck entrance. There you are, Student Wen. Teacher Bryn was worried. I apologize. I was learning about human philosophy. Olson smiled. The Marines are good teachers even if they don't realize it. She nodded to the Marine. Thank you for looking after her. No problem, Doc. She's got good questions. As they walked back to the medical bay, Student Wen asked Dr. Olson something that had been bothering her. Why do you heal everyone, even the Torvin who tried to kill you? Because being a healer isn't about choosing sides. It's about reducing suffering wherever you find it. Those Torvin were following orders. They probably believed they were doing the right thing. I don't agree with them, but I won't let them die when I can help. That seems contradictory. You fight them, then heal them. We fight when we must. We heal when we can. Both are important. Being human means holding both truths at once. Student Wen was beginning to understand that humanity was full of contradictions. They were gentle and fierce, peaceful and deadly, compassionate and ruthless, and somehow they made all these opposites work together. It was the most alien thing about them. Not their appearance or their technology, but their ability to be many things at once without breaking. Sanctuary Station orbited a neutral star system where no single species held authority. It was the perfect place for difficult conversations. The Galactic Council had sent representatives. The Earth delegation had arrived, and the Palani researchers sat in the middle holding data that could reshape galactic civilization. Student Wen sat in the gallery watching the proceedings. Beside her, Amy Grant pointed out the various delegates. That's Council Representative Morath. He's been arguing for classification of your research for 3 hours now. Morath was tall and covered in scales that shifted between green and gold. His voice carried authority built over centuries of bureaucratic power. The information these researchers possess is dangerous, not because it is false, but because it will cause social instability across hundreds of worlds. Teacher Bryn stood at the speaker's podium, his fur steady blue showing calm determination. Truth is not dangerous. Lies are dangerous. You have built an empire on the lie that harsh worlds cannot produce intelligence. Our research proves otherwise. Your research proves one exception, Morath countered. Earth and this other world you discovered. 2 examples out of millions of planets, hardly conclusive. Commander Wilson rose from the Earth delegation. 2 examples you cannot explain. 2 examples that break your fundamental theory. In science, when evidence contradicts theory, you change the theory. You don't suppress the evidence. We are not suppressing anything. We are suggesting careful review and controlled release of sensitive information. You sent mercenaries to kill these researchers, Amy said coldly from the gallery. Several delegates turned to look at her. Let's not pretend this is about careful review. Morath's scales flushed darker. That was unauthorized action by rogue elements. Rogue elements you funded, Wilson shot back. We have the financial records. The money came from council accounts. The chamber erupted in argument. different species shouting in different languages, translators struggling to keep up. Student Wen watched in fascination as Teacher Bryn simply waited at the podium, patient and calm. Finally, the council chairman called for order. He was ancient, a being whose species lived for thousands of years. Enough. Representative Marath, the evidence against the council is damning. Teacher Bryn, what exactly do you want? I want to publish our research. I want the scientific community to examine it freely. I want the truth available to everyone. And if that truth causes chaos, if species begin questioning their place in the galactic order, then perhaps the galactic order needs to be questioned, Teacher Bryn said simply. The chairman studied him for a long moment. You understand what you are asking. The council has maintained peace for 10,000 years by carefully managing how species develop and interact. Your research could undermine that entire system. Peace built on lies is not true peace. It is just delayed conflict. Student Wen felt pride swell in her chest. Her teacher, who had cowered in fear from raiders just days ago, now stood before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and refused to back down. One of the other delegates spoke up. She was from a species called the Drex, known for their military strength. I have read the Palani research. It is thorough and well documented, but I have a question for the Earth delegation. If harsh worlds create strong species and Earth is such a world, does that not make humans a threat to galactic peace? Wilson stood again. Humans are only a threat to those who threaten others. We didn't ask to be strong. Our world made us this way, but we chose what to do with that strength. We chose to protect rather than conquer. A convenient claim. Look at our history. Earth has been in galactic society for 50 years. In that time, how many wars have we started? None. How many humanitarian missions have we run? Hundreds. How many species have we uplifted or helped? The Drex delegate consulted her data pad. 47 recorded instances. And how many times have we responded to distress calls from non-human ships? Too many to count easily. Wilson spread her hands. We are what our world made us. Strong, adaptable, protective. We don't apologize for our nature, but we do choose how to use it. Another delegate spoke, this one from a peaceful herbivorous species. But should such dangerous species exist at all, perhaps worlds like Earth should be quarantined, their inhabitants prevented from reaching space. The room went silent. Student Wen felt her fur go white with shock. They were suggesting that species from Deathworld should be imprisoned on their own planets forever. Dr. Olson stood up from the Earth delegation. Let me tell you a story. 2 weeks ago, 12 Palani researchers were dying in a forgotten system. No one knew they were there. No one was coming to help. Then a human cargo ship going about its normal business detected their signal. Those humans could have ignored it. They could have reported it and moved on. Instead, they risked their lives against impossible odds because someone needed help. That is what Deathworld species do. We survive the unsurvivable, and then we use that strength to help others survive too. But you are also capable of terrible violence, the herbivore delegate said. Yes, Olson agreed. We are. So are you, given the right circumstances. Every species has capacity for violence. The difference is that we grew up surrounded by it, so we learned how to control it. We're not mindless berserkers. We're thinking beings who happen to be very, very good at protecting what we care about. Teacher Bryn added his voice. I have spent the last week with humans. I have seen them fight and seen them heal, seen them kill and seen them comfort. They are the most contradictory species I have ever studied, but they are also the most loyal. When they decide you are worth protecting, nothing will stop them. Not distance, not danger, not overwhelming odds. Is that not exactly what civilization should value? The Drex delegate stood. I move that the Palani research be published immediately and without restriction. Furthermore, I move that the Council formally apologize for attempting to suppress this information and punish those responsible. Seconded, said another delegate. The vote was close, but it passed. The truth about Death World intelligence would become public knowledge. As the session ended and delegates filed out, Student Wen approached Commander Wilson. What happens now? Now the real work begins. Every species is going to re-examine their assumptions about evolution and civilization. Some will resist, others will embrace it. The galaxy is going to change. Are you worried? Wilson smiled. Change is always scary, but humans learned a long time ago that you can't stop change. You can only choose whether to fight against it or guide it towards something better. We're going to help guide it. Teacher Bryn joined them, his fur finally showing relaxed green. Thank you, all of you. Without Earth's protection, we would have died with our discovery. You would have done the same for us, Olson said. I am not sure we would have. My species has no tradition of risking ourselves for strangers. Then maybe, Amy said, you'll start one. That's how traditions begin. Someone does something difficult because it's right and others follow. Student Wen made a decision in that moment. Teacher Bryn, I wish to study at Earth's Xenobiology Institute. I want to learn more about how death worlds shape intelligence. Teacher Bryn's fur rippled with surprise, then pride. You would leave our people. I would learn from another people, then bring that knowledge home. Is that not what good researchers do? Yes, it is. As they left Sanctuary Station, Student Wen looked back at the massive structure. In a few days, the Palani research would be published across the galaxy. Questions would be asked. Power structures would be challenged. The comfortable lies of 10,000 years would crack and shatter. And somewhere out there, on the death world the Palani had studied, another intelligent species would learn they were not alone in their struggle. That others had survived impossible worlds and reached for the stars. Student Wen smiled. The galaxy was about to get very interesting. 3 months had passed since the Palani research went public. Student Wen stood in the Earth Xenobiology Institute's library, surrounded by more information than her species had collected in centuries. She was reading about evolutionary pressure when Amy Grant found her. Still buried in books. Always, Student Wen replied happily. Did you know that Earth had 5 major extinction events? Events that killed most life on the planet, yet life survived each time and came back stronger. We're stubborn that way. Not stubborn, adaptable. That is the real lesson of death worlds. They do not create strong species through strength, but through the ability to change and survive. Amy sat down across from her. Speaking of change, have you seen the news? 7 species have petitioned the Council for reclassification of their homeworlds. They want their histories re-examined. Are they death worlds too? Class 8 to 10. Not as extreme as Earth, but harsh enough that the Council had written them off as incapable of natural intelligence. Turns out, all 7 developed civilizations on their own before Council contact. Student Wen felt her fur ripple with excitement. Teacher Bryn's research is reshaping everything. And causing one hell of a political mess. But that's not why I'm here. Captain Reeves sent a message. The distant shore is being recommissioned. They want to run humanitarian supply routes to newly contacted death world species. He's asking if you want to come along. Me, but I am a student, not crew. You're both, and you understand what it means to need help. These species are going to be confused, scared, maybe angry that the Council kept them isolated. They need someone who can bridge the gap between Death Worlders and everyone else. Student Wen considered this. Her studies at Earth were important, but field work had always been her passion. When do we leave? 2 days. First stop is that purple vegetation world your team discovered. They've agreed to formal contact. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. Student Wen packed her research materials and said temporary goodbyes to her teachers. Dr. Olson had returned to the distant shore as permanent medical officer. Teacher Bryn had taken a position advising the council on Death World protocols, making sure the mistakes of the past were not repeated. When Student Wen arrived at the docking bay, the distant shore looked different. It had been upgraded with better shields and weapons, though it was still clearly a cargo hauler. The crew had expanded too. Several new humans had joined, along with 2 other Palani researchers. Captain Reeves greeted her at the airlock. His gray hair was neatly trimmed now, and he looked more relaxed than she remembered. "Welcome aboard, Student Wen. Ready for another adventure?" "I believe so, Captain, though I hope this one involves less shooting." "So do I, but if shooting happens, we're ready for it." The journey to the purple vegetation world took a week. During that time, Student Wen worked with the crew to prepare first contact protocols. The humans were surprisingly diplomatic when they wanted to be. They understood that showing up heavily armed might send the wrong message. When they finally entered orbit around the world, Student Wen felt her first shift through rainbow colors with nervousness. This was the planet that had started everything, the proof that Death Worlds could forge intelligence. The local inhabitants called themselves the Kethrin. They were bipedal, with skin that shifted colors like Palani fur, but in response to light rather than emotion. Their cities were built both above and below ground, protection against the massive predators that still roamed their world. The Kethrin leadership agreed to meet on their largest moon, neutral ground. Student Wen accompanied Captain Reeves, Amy, and Dr. Olson to the surface. The Kethrin first speaker was old and scarred. She studied the humans with obvious curiosity. "You are from Earth, another death world." "That's right," Reeves confirmed. "Our researchers told us about your world. They say it is even harsher than ours. Gravity that crushes, diseases that kill without mercy, predators everywhere. Yet you survived and reached the stars." "Just like you did." The first speaker made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. "For thousands of years, we thought we were alone, that our struggle was unique. The Galactic Council contacted us 50 years ago and told us we were an aberration, an impossible accident. They said harsh worlds could not produce intelligence, but they could not explain us, so they quarantined our system." "They did the same to Earth," Amy said. "Called us impossible and tried to control how we developed. But you resisted." "We exist on our own terms. We cooperate with the Council when it makes sense, but we don't let them dictate our future." The first speaker's skin shifted to a thoughtful purple. "The Palani researchers who studied our world, they were killed." "No," Student Wen spoke up. "We survived because humans protected us. That is why I am here, to tell you that you are not alone anymore. Other Death World species exist, and we want to help each other." "Help how?" Captain Reeves spread his hands. "Technology exchange, cultural sharing, trade routes, defense pacts if you want them. We're not here to conquer or control. We're here because species from harsh worlds should stick together." The negotiations took days, but eventually an agreement was reached. The Kethrin would join a loose alliance of Death World species. Earth would provide defensive technology and training. The Kethrin would share their unique biological sciences. Trade would be established. Students would be exchanged. On the last night before departure, Student Wen stood with the first speaker on an observation platform. Below them, a massive predator moved through the forest. It was the size of an earth elephant, with 6 legs and jaws that could crush metal. "Your people hunted those?" Student Wen asked. "Our ancestors did, with nothing but stone weapons and cleverness. They died in great numbers, but they learned. They adapted. Eventually they won." "Earth has similar stories." "I imagine all Death Worlds do. That is what makes us kindred." The first speaker looked up at the stars. "For so long, we thought the galaxy belonged to the soft species, the ones from gentle worlds who never faced true hardship. We thought we were wrong somehow, broken." "You were never broken, you were forged." Yes, and now we learn that others were forged too. It changes everything. Student Wen thought about that. The galaxy had been controlled by species from easy worlds, species that developed civilization through plenty and peace. They had assumed their path was the only path, that their way was the only way. But Death Worlds taught a different lesson. That intelligence could be born from struggle, that civilization could be forged in fire, that the harshest environments could produce the most adaptable, most resilient, most fiercely loyal species. The gentle species had built a stable galaxy, but the Death World species were going to make it stronger. Back on the distant shore, Captain Reeves called a crew meeting. We've got requests from 6 more systems, all Death Worlds, all newly contacted or soon to be. The Council wants us to handle first contact because we understand what these species have been through. Amy pulled up a star chart. That's going to take us into some dangerous territory. Not all Death World species are going to be friendly. No, Reeves agreed. But they'll all be survivors, and survivors recognize survivors. We speak the same language even when we use different words. Dr. Olson added, we should expect some of them to be aggressive. When your whole world has been trying to kill you for millions of years, trusting strangers doesn't come naturally. Then we show them we're trustworthy, Student Wen said. Through actions, not words. That is what humans taught me. The crew voted unanimously to accept the mission. The distant shore set course for the first system, a Class 11 Death World orbiting a red dwarf star. As the ship jumped to FTL, Student Wen looked out at the stars and thought about Teacher Brin's research. It had proven that Death Worlds could create intelligence. But more than that, it had proven that the galaxy was bigger and stranger than anyone had believed. Somewhere out there were species who had fought their way to the stars through hardship and determination. Species who knew what it meant to struggle, to adapt, to survive against all odds. Species who would understand humans and Catherine and all the other Death Worlders because they had walked the same brutal path. And now, for the first time, those species were finding each other. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of gentle species controlling everything was ending. The Death World species were not looking to conquer or dominate. They were looking to protect, to cooperate, to build something new together. Captain Reeves had said it best during their first meeting with the Catherine. We're not here to change the galaxy. We're here to remind it that there are many paths to the stars, and the hardest paths often produce the most interesting travelers. Student Wen settled into her station and pulled up research files on their next destination. Another Death World, another impossible species, another chance to prove that strength forged in fire could be used to help rather than harm. The distant shore flew onward, carrying its crew of Death Worlders and those who had learned from them. Behind them, the galaxy was changing. Ahead of them, more survivors waited to be found. And Student Wen smiled, her fur showing the deep green of contentment and purpose. She had left her gentle world seeking knowledge. She had found something better. She had found family among the survivors. No one would ever be left behind again. Not while Death Worlders watched over each other. Not while humans and their allies roamed the stars. The survivors had found each other at last, and together they would make sure no one faced the darkness alone.